Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. It is deadline day and there is a lot to talk about. Arsenal been in talks with Bayern for Mathys. Looks like that deal is breaking down because Arsenal want a loan deal with an option to buy. Bayern are still insisting on a permanent deal or a loan with obligation. Arsenal are now walking away according to Ed Aarons. But also we have something from TalkSport. According to Alex Group, the senior correspondent on sports and transfers, he says that Arsenal at the moment are still very, very comfortable with the squad they have. And there's a big possibility that we won't see any kind of drama as we get into final hours of deadline day. We'll be talking about Dusan Vlahovic as well. Ollie Watkins, could something happen? Why have Arsenal decided to leave it late? Why have Arsenal decided not to do anything in this window? We'll be talking about all that. Did we contact Gyokeres? Did we contact Nico Williams like some of the reports have been saying in the last few hours? Let's find out in this episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well, and let's dive right in. Now, of course, the big story has been on Mathys. Yesterday, Manchester United had leapfrogged Arsenal in that race. They had agreed personal terms with the player, and the player was already open to joining Manchester United. However, United as well failed to find an agreement between them and Bayern, because the requirements of Bayern are you either sign the player on a permanent or you sign him on a loan deal with an obligation to buy. Now, Manchester United say, listen, we cannot commit to that position. It is 60 million euros. We are not interested, and they walked away. That left a few other clubs, including Tottenham, but also in pole position, that left Arsenal as the chief negotiator, in that cohort. Today, we can confirm, according to Ed Aarons from, The Guardian, Arsenal have also left the talks between Bayern and them for Mathys, because Bayern are still saying we want a permanent deal, and Arsenal are saying, listen, if we are going to take Tell, it's going to be on a loan with an option. Talks are broken down. Mikel Arteta, like I said a couple of days ago, Arteta does not see Tell as a long-term target, and therefore he's not going to be spending 50-60 million on an unproven target that has just popped up in the window. So I think what Arsenal wanted initially was, could we take Tell, as part of our squad, until June, and possibly try him out, see where we can use him, see how he fits in. Of course, we know that Nico Williams and Alexander Isak are the two attacking positions that Arsenal want to explore in the summer. They are the priorities. They wanted to see if we take Tell and he works out, then Nico Williams doesn't come. But if you commit right now that you're going to sign him in the summer, or sign him right now, basically it means that Mikel Arteta doesn't get Nico Williams. And that means that for sure, Arsenal are very confident and are very, very optimistic, probably that's the word, that we will get Nico Williams at some point in time, especially in the summer. Now, what that means basically is that Arsenal don't have a known position where they are standing in the last hours of deadline day. It is not on Mathys, it is not on Ollie Watkins, it is not on anyone. Mathys was the last actionable position Arsenal could have activated. By saying that we are walking away from negotiations with Bayern, that basically means we are now at a standstill. We are, 70%, nothing will happen, no one will come, and 30% something will happen. And talking about drama, TalkSport chief correspondent has said, that is Alex Cook, has said, we do not expect drama when it comes to Arsenal in the last few hours of deadline day. And that comes from the fact that after the Mathys deal breaking down, I don't think Arsenal are going to open up new positions in just the last few hours. I mean, you can't sign Cunha in the last few hours because Mathys Cunha has signed a new deal which has a release clause that is actionable right from the summer. So that means that Cunha in January, deal off. Then you think about Ollie Watkins. He's already committed to the Villa project. Villa are very confident that Watkins is going to stay. We'll talk about Watkins a little bit later on. Maybe something could be done, but 70% he's going to stay at Villa, and I can confidently say that 30%, nothing will happen with them as well. So I don't think Arsenal are going to be getting Ollie Watkins. So Crook says from TalkSport that there is nothing dramatic we expect to happen from Arsenal, especially on deadline day, as most of the positions they have been chasing, and most of the players they have been chasing have now broken down. It looks like we want to focus on the summer rather than in January. Now, what this means is Mikel Arteta has got to be absolutely lucky that he doesn't suffer more injuries, and it's going to depend on luck that Saka comes back fully fit and comes back on form. Because if you have Saka on form and fully fit, that's a different story. That's a really different story. If Odegaard comes back in form, White comes back, and then Saka comes back, well, probably you could, you could finish the season in a stronger position. But there's no question we needed a striker. There's no question we needed a winger, and we've got neither. Now let's talk about some of the other names that have been, popping up and down on Arsenal's transfer radar. Could it happen? Is it true? And we share thoughts. It's just deadline day, so let's be a little bit brief. Let's start off with Victor Gyokeres. So a few publications were saying that Arsenal had contacted Sporting Lisbon for Victor Gyokeres, but no official offer was done. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. Victor Gyokeres is such a household name when it comes to the striker market right now. If anything were to happen, if any deal were to happen with Victor Gyokeres, David Ornstein would be up on that story. Fabrizio Romano would be up on that story. So for me, Victor Gyokeres, I think is not appreciated by Arsenal. I don't think he's appreciated enough by Mikel Arteta. I think Mikel has a cohort of strikers that he wants, and Victor Gyokeres, however good he is, however strong he is not in that cohort. We know it's Isak, we know it's Šeško, we know it is Cunha, we know the names, right? It is not Victor Gyokeres. Now, I want to make you sad. And how am I going to make you sad? I think if a club went in with 70 million euros or 60 million euros for Victor Gyokeres right now, I think Sporting would budge. Because I'm not thinking that he's going to have such a remarkable ending to the campaign like he did last campaign. And Sporting are now in between a hard place and a rock. Do we sell him or do we wait, right, and risk getting less money at the end of the campaign? So for me, if Arsenal went in now, they get him. If any other club go in now, they would get him. For a sizable chunk of revenue, they would actually get him. So with Victor Gyokeres, he's not in Mikel Arteta's plans. He's not part of the strikers that Mikel Arteta is chasing. It looks like his hopes of signing for Arsenal are ever so getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Let's talk about Ollie Watkins. Obviously, Ollie Watkins, there was a lot of buzz around the name. Arsenal making a £45 million bid, and Villa saying if you can raise it to 70, we could consider it. But before Arsenal had time to, activate that position or even think about it, then Villa sold John Duran for 75 million euros to Saudi Arabia, and that means that they've got to stay with one striker, and Watkins is not going to be moving. Now, for me, I think Watkins was kind of, for me, a rush by Arsenal. And if this 5-1 result didn't happen, and maybe Manchester City beat us 2-0, 2-1, 3-2, I think we would have gone back for Ollie Watkins. I think Arsenal would have gone back for Ollie Watkins. I mean, if you think about our strategy, it has been signing 25 and below. If Arsenal just go, boom, we have done Ollie Watkins in such an important position. Forget Leandro Trossard, forget Mikel Merino. Those are squad players. But in such an important position, like the striker, if Arsenal just go 29 years, come in here, it shows you that's a panic buy. I don't think that Ollie Watkins is on top of the list of strikers we want. And there's a lot of talk that Arsenal might not even go back for Watkins in the summer. They wanted him as a quick fix. Now that it didn't happen, they will look to get their long-term targets. That is Šeško, and that is Alexander Isak and Nico Williams to bolster the attack rather than Ollie Watkins. So Watkins won't be joining us. I'm not pretty much disappointed, but I'm just disappointed in the Arsenal fan base. Many people think Watkins wouldn't be a good fit for Arsenal. Are you kidding me? Are you really joking right now? Are you saying that Watkins is not good enough for us, for our project, a project that barely scores goals? Come on, man. Come on. I like Watkins. I would have taken Watkins in a heartbeat, but that deal ain't happening on deadline day as for now. Now, Dusan Vlahovic is one you've got to keep your eyes very, very open and your ears wide open as well. Because with Dusan Vlahovic, I am not saying Arsenal getting him. Get me right. I'm saying that that is a position that since the beginning of the window, Juventus have never closed. They've never said, we don't want any offers. We won't be taking any offers. They brought in Randall Colomwani, who scored a brace, by the way. And yeah, that's it. So I'm asking myself a question. Could Dusan Vlahovic, one that has been a long-term target for Arsenal, be something we could explore? Because if you think about Vlahovic, he's younger than Watkins. He would be cheaper than Watkins at the moment because Watkins is like, he's had a very good 5 years on his, on his career. So you've got to pay about, 50 million and above. But with Dusan Vlahovic, could something like 35 million do the deal? Could something like 40 million do the deal? So if Arsenal were to explore the Vlahovic position, there is a big possibility that we could actually get him on loan as well. And then, either, consolidate the position in the summer or, do whatever it takes. So Dusan Vlahovic, according to recent reports, a couple of clubs are looking at him. Chelsea are there, Arsenal are there, Tottenham are there. There is a lot of clubs that want to get Dusan Vlahovic. I think I understand that Manchester United would also be very, very open to the situation if something really, really develops. So if anything happens with the Dusan Vlahovic deal, I would let you know. But this is where we stand in terms of transfers. Deadline day. Arsenal are not actively in talks with any club right now for a striker or a forward, right? There has been talk of many players. Nico Williams is one we're going to discuss in the next one minute. But at the moment, Arsenal are more likely than not to come up, not to come out with a striker. So bear that in your mind. So let's talk about Nico Williams. News coming out of Spain yesterday was that Arsenal were ready to trigger the release clause of Nico Williams and cause a late upset to Atletico Bilbao on deadline day. Now, that is still very possible. Nico Williams is a long-term target for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta wants him and appreciates him very much. But I tell you why that deal is not going to happen. The loyalty Bilbao have from Nico Williams and his brother, they're not just going to sabotage Bilbao's season because Arsenal have said they're going to wait until the summer, sit down, talk with the club negotiators and the club chiefs and make a decision. Do we go now or do we wait for another season? So the Nico Williams deal makes a lot of sense. And I understand where people are, are getting this from and why they're very excited. But why it will not happen is because they want that money. Bilbao want that money, in a sizable chunk. It's around 50 million euros. They want all of it at once. And I don't think Arsenal are willing to do that right now. Either we negotiate with Bilbao, pay a little bit more, like we've done with Martin Zubimendi, but, pay in installments, right? Or we wait until the summer and then we can trigger the player's release clause. Now, in the summer, I don't know what really happened. I don't know what we did. The player was focused on FC Barcelona and maybe Arsenal felt like that position is not, available. I also think that our finances were limited in the summer. So I won't be surprised if Arsenal go in stronger for Nico Williams in the summer rather than now, or as compared to what we did earlier on last summer. So can Williams sign? Yes. Can Arsenal trigger the release clause? Yes. But what are the chances of us seeing Williams at Arsenal this January transfer window? 0 out of 10. It is not going to happen. He's so loyal to Atletico Bilbao. He won't want to upset them. He's got a brother there. It is simple logic. Wait until the summer for Nico Williams. And if Nico Williams is not signing for Arsenal now, Anyone that's going to come in that position is going to be a loan deal, and Arsenal are not in any talks with any club to get a temporary loan deal. So basically, the last few hours have been quite very, very interesting when it comes to the transfer window in general. I've seen Axel Disasi trying to cross over to Aston Villa, and Tottenham have also agreed personal terms with the player. No, not really. They've agreed a price for the player with Chelsea, but they've not agreed personal terms. Manchester United are also trying to get a forward, Mathys. Looked like yesterday they were going to get him. Looks like now they're not going to get him 100%. So there is a lot. There is a lot happening. And I'll keep you posted. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Who do you want to see on this deadline day? I'll tell you who do I want to see on this deadline day. Victor, Gyokeres, or Osimhen. If you could get me one of those, definitely very, very good positions to have, at the club. Very good players, would cost a lot, which means that Mikel Arteta would be forced to play them. But according to TalkSport, Mikel is comfortable with his squad right now.